This meeting is being recorded. Yes.
All right. So what's up? My name is Kyle. This is the introductory or the first podcast of Pole Position. Pole position is where you are in the most favorable place to win. We're going to discuss, we'll have conversations with some people that, can get us to that victory, professionals within specific fields. And today I am talking with a very close, and I would say old, but she's not old. She has a very young spirit, but we've been friends for almost 30 years, which is crazy. Met in ninth grade and just meshed personality wise. She is dancer, actress, and trainer to the stars, LaShonna Holloway.
Hi. So happy to be here.
Welcome, LaShonna. I'm glad you agreed to have a conversation with me.
Of course.
Now, in the pre-interview, not gonna lie, we talked about some of the people you've worked with. One person in particular that is very dope was Beyonce. I think Beyonce is probably on that Michael Jackson mega star level almost.
Right.
Almost.
Right.
There's only one Mike Jack, but you working with her, can you tell us a little bit about Beyonce?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you compared her to Michael Jackson because, I mean, I've never worked with him, but in seeing his videos and interviews and things that, behind the scenes, his concerts, we all know that Michael Jackson has that it factor, that special, something about him that made him a star. And
Indeed.
I know that people have their varying opinions on Beyonce. People don't like her or whatever, think she's overrated. But having, had the opportunities to work with her, I definitely can understand why she can be compared to Michael Jackson. Her work ethic is, I've never seen anything like it. Like there's people who you're around and they inspire you to be better. And she's one of them. Like I can't even tell you how involved she is in her process. And that means a lot. Like she's not just a singer, she's not just a performer, but watching her, she's like a magician the way that she conducts her show. Like she'll be singing her song and then she'll be like, no, the lights didn't come on. Oh, this dancer was supposed to bring my jacket right here. She has her hand in every aspect of her show. Every time that I saw her working, she was working. She would come in ready to work. She barely sat down. I feel like she never slept because we would be there. And this is like, for projects like the VMAs where you're not just there for a day, you have one rehearsal. No, these projects go like several weeks. So seeing her in action, several weeks of keeping us there until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's still going, and then right back there the next day at the crack of dawn. Like that is passion. That's her work ethic, her talent. So I'm speaking about her as a performer, someone look up to, some of us, and why. That's why I think she's hands down the real deal. So yeah.
I mean, I have to agree because, sometimes on my IG, I talk about success. I talk about A, success breeding success, B, successful people investing in others, and, C, as people who want to or aspire to be successful, we should put ourselves in some type of, close nexus or in the environment of successful people. One of the other people we were talking about in the pre-interview was, I like the mommies. Everybody knows I love the mommies.
You love the mommies.
J-Lo, you work with J-Lo.
Yeah.
You got to tell me, in person, is that thing right?
Okay, so to answer your question, yes, but J-Lo is just so incredible that it's beyond just her derriere. Like it's beyond. She
I'm
You
sure.
don't even think about that when you see her, you know? I don't know because I work for Tracy Anderson, and for
Mhm.
those who don't know, it's a heated studio. So we work out in like 96 plus degrees. So you can imagine it gets pretty rank up in there. Like it's kind of,
Pretty stank.
pretty stank, Um, when J Lo comes in to work out, when she leaves that heated studio, it smells better because she just leaves like this. It's like a field of flowers in
So
there.
she's just effervescent, huh?
She's just effervescent. It's just like everything about her. She's goals. Like J Lo is goals. She's beautiful inside and out, and she's another one who has a very strong work ethic. It's
Mhm.
discipline. I think the consistency among everyone that we mentioned so far, you know, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, J Lo. I feel like there's discipline there, and there's a drive to become great. And you with all of them, that's a discipline to have for success.
Now, in saying that, sometimes I often talk about discipline, and in my own personal growth, I recognized early on that I had to address my habits, and I had to consistently apply them. No matter what the conditions were, no matter what the circumstances were. Do you see that as a trait that both Beyonce and J Lo carry? Like, for instance, all you are a dancer, they are dancers. In particular, you and J Lo. Beyonce dances as a part of her performance, her repertoire.
Right.
But that attention to almost like a perfection, uber perfection type level. Do you see that within both of those performers?
Yeah, of course, definitely. With everything that they do, they have a whole team around them, of course, that helps them to become who they are physically. But
Mhm,
there's a certain level of discipline that they have to allow that to happen,
mhm,
because it's okay. I have to wake up at, not me, but they have to wake up at, whether it's 4 o'clock in the morning to start hair, to start makeup, to start sound checking, to interview, to costume fit, to rehearse, to all of these things. They have to have that in them to do it. No one can say, okay, we're going to make you wake up, we're going to make you show up. They have to show up for themselves, and that's something that they have to do themselves. No one else can make them do that. Those are long days, and those are stressful days that they have to endure.
Well, let's pivot away from them for a second because I don't want to undermine you like you're not the shit yourself. Uh, because
Oh,
my introduction was short, and it didn't really characterize you in the light that you've earned yourself. Um, if you could, because I don't think people, when you mention Tracy Anderson, a lot of people that are in the fitness world are, they're saying, okay, I recognize that name, I recognize that method, right? Talk a little bit about what you do on a day to day and how you kind of invest in people, because that's a lot about what I want to talk about is how to invest in people to have better outcomes.
right. Okay. Yeah. So pretty much it's a boutique fitness center, and I'm a trainer there. I've been there for, this is my 8th year, and I'm a part of what we call the prescription team. So if you think of yourself going to the doctor and you want to fix certain ailments that you have and treat symptoms, you come away with a prescription. So that's what we do. People come to us and they take our classes, or they come in for customized training, and they walk away with a customized prescription. So I have the ability to work with different individuals and tailor the method to their needs, like whether it's they want to, lose weight, or
Okay.
get
Because
strong. Yeah. What were you going to say?
Because I'm thinking like, all right, if a shorty wants to come in and says, I want a bigger booty, you know, really.
Well, we don't do any kind of like spot reduction or spot enhancement, but we can tailor, okay, for instance, like, and not to take it away from me again, but when we have clients like J-Lo, who, the workout is definitely something that makes your muscles leaner. It's not about bulking. We don't create bulk. We want our clientele to have a leaner appearance.
Why
So
is that? Why is that?
well, because that's the aesthetic that the Tracy Anderson method does. Just because bulking muscle, just it's unhealthy to try to maintain that. As you know, if you're lifting and pumping iron as you age, that's just not good for you. So
I tell both, yeah,
your rotator cuffs,
you're right. Like my rotator cuffs are trash after years of, benching 405 and, shoulder pressing, 275. My brother told me about 15 years ago, lighten up on the load. And, he's about 15 years older than me. And I didn't get it.
right?
You know? And now at 42, I'm leaning out, like I really plan on being a good 45 pounds less than what I am now.
Right. Yep. And so going along with that, lifting heavy weights and bulking the muscles focuses on the larger muscles. And we focus on the accessory muscles that you kind of don't really use, especially as you get older, especially as you're on the computer, especially as we don't move as we don't move as much as adults. So leaner muscles are what we go after, and the smaller accessory muscles that get overlooked as we age. I mean, when you're a kid and you're running and jumping and playing and using all of your muscles, that's fine. But as we get older, that starts to go away. We don't play unless you're an athlete, but
Yeah.
you don't really play. You don't use your whole body. So anyway, back to your question, we have clients like J Lo or clients like Tracee Ellis Ross who are women. They're not right. They're not women who want to be supermodels. They understand what they want to look like as women. A smaller waist, curvier hips, and a booty. So there are
Boom.
programs that are definitely designed to keep the aesthetic long and lean, but to accentuate the areas that, as women of color, they want to focus on, keeping nice and right.
Definitely, definitely. You know what's crazy? I had a program I developed and kind of went through myself called the 1 yard line.
Uh-huh.
Taught me a lot, but the one thing that I added into my life was a personal trainer, and it was hella expensive. Like they were doing me for like I was getting at one point. I loved it so much I was doing 4 sessions, and I know this is cheap for your boutique, but I was doing like $130 a week,
Okay.
and but it was worth it because so now we're in COVID,
Right.
and I had one-on-one training and some group training, but I took so much from it and learned so much that not having access to that now, I can draw back on a lot of those mornings, 5 o'clock in the morning, those experiences and say, I remember when, for instance, my rotator cuff might be hurting. So my trainer had me, doing alternative exercise, but still working, the same functional muscles. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like maybe 4 years ago, I said, oh, you don't need a trainer. Trainers are kind of a waste of money, blah, blah, blah. But for somebody that A, did it, B, benefited from it, and C, if you apply that concept to almost every area of your life that you want to grow,
Exactly.
because like growth is hard in a vacuum. Like you can't really grow unless you get around knowledgeable people, get in an environment that is conducive. Because I mean, when you walked into my gym, I'm not going, unless they're going to pay me for some ad time, I'm not going to say what gym it was, but
Right.
it wasn't the $20 a month type of gym situation. I really invested in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
and they created a climate that made it possible to grow. Now, one thing I do got to get at you about. During the pre-interview, we were talking about some of the people you work with.
Right.
Now, I'm going to set up my dream life when I'm about 55.
Okay.
Because at 55, my youngest will be 18. And I mean, he can come with me, but he got the, school work, do whatever you got to do. But my life is mine now.
Right.
So I want to be 6 months in the, Philly, DC, New York, and maybe 6 months either Florida or West, right? Warm, cold. I want to stay in the warmth, right?
Sounds good.
So my up north chick, I want to be Ashanti. And my down south shorty's gonna be Maya.
Love it. I love it. I love it. So stay down south for 12 months.
I mean, because like to me, those two women are just dope, fly for very different reasons.
For very different reasons. I agree. I do feel like they're very different. I've only worked with one of the two, so I can't speak about them both. But
Which one? Which one?
I believe in the past you've actually been around Maya, and you have nothing but glorious things to say about her. Which, from looking at her and hearing other people that I know who've worked with her, I've only heard the same thing about Maya. So she gets my vote. She gets my vote for you if you want to hire and have a beautiful life. And I feel like Maya would be amazing. From what I've experienced, like if you want to settle with Ashanti, you're gonna have to settle with her mom. Like it's like it's a whole package deal. That one was there. When I worked with her, it felt I didn't feel like I was enjoying my career at the time. She was doing and I worked with her one time and one time only. And it says a lot about that one time. She was doing a car show in Miami. So they flew out 4 dancers. I believe one of them or two of them she'd worked with before, and then myself and another friend of mine had never worked with her, but they flew us in to work with her. And we were in the rehearsal process, which started extremely late. It was unprofessional. And then because the team at the time just was late and unprofessional. And they had other priorities than to come in and start with us. So we were there waiting, and the team came in and started the rehearsal and practically treated us like it was some sweatshop situation. Like they laughed at us, told us we were like a circus act, because usually, okay, backstory, when you work with an artist, you want to have dancers that complement the artist. For instance, if you see Mariah Carey, because she's a lighter woman, you'll have dancers around her who are darker, mostly males who are darker, and they make her stand out. And so dancers like Rihanna, she'll have mostly taller dancers, a variety of dancers to represent her, her culture and her experiences, but they'll all be on the taller side because she's a taller woman. Okay. So if you have dancers who are various heights and sizes and they don't complement the artist, it just kind of doesn't look right. But again, it was a thrown together thing. Anyway, getting to the point, the artist came in late and was a bit tired and didn't say hello to us, didn't really care to interact with us during our rehearsal. There was just like this insecurity that I felt like if she felt that we were looking at her, she would look us up and down. It just felt really nasty. And then I had heard that her mom comes in and looks at the dancers, and if she doesn't approve, if they are cute or whatever, she doesn't like them working with her daughter. Wow. So for the show, we're standing there and the mom comes and lines us up and just looks us up and down.
Wow.
And it was the most uncomfortable feeling. And I was really happy that I never had to work with her again. after that. And it's just
Yeah.
like someone like her on that level compared to someone like Beyonce, who if she did that, you'd be like, okay, well, that's Beyonce. I guess she can. Who took all of her dancers, put them in a circle, put us in a circle, held our hands, prayed, and thanked us for the experience and thanked us for helping her to be where she is that day to receive that award.
I was
So the
gonna,
gratitude there was just unbelievable.
yes. Now, I'm glad you went down that path because I was going to ask you that because I'm really into sports psychology, the psychology of success,
Mhm.
the mindset of successful people, right? And in my work life, uh, I've always witnessed the most successful leaders were those that invested in their quote unquote subordinates. They put them in a position to perform, put them in a position to win, put them in pole position, right? Do you see that as the barrier to Ashanti's career? Where, I mean, because like you can't like she might be bae, but you can't compare her career to a Beyonce or a J Lo. And I tell people all the time, the energy that you put into even your work environment and the way you motivate people and the way you inspire people, they're either going to champion your cause and advocate for you, or they're going to just, at the very least, be quiet and allow you to kind of crash and burn on your own.
Yeah, I agree. And I do feel that way, but then more recently I've seen her doing things like she kind of came back and she looks different and she changed her image and she was like on a billboard. So I feel like because the thing that her and her mother have is they are persistent and they are fighters to get to where they want to go. But it's a very selfish thing, I feel. I feel it's like them against the world, which there's nothing wrong with that, but in
No,
a negative way. I do feel like if she created a more giving, loving, nurturing, positive environment, then perhaps she could be head to head, toe to toe with Beyonce. I think that I'm not saying, I'm just at the end of the day, you never know
yeah, you
because
don't.
because how a person starts, when they get to a certain place of stardom, you look back and you're like, I never thought that person would be there. It's the work that they put in and it's who they surround themselves with. And
I, I remember when we were in college, Beyonce came out with that group, the girl group, uh,
Destiny's Child,
Destiny's Child.
yeah,
I remember laying, like I was back home for the summer. I think it was after our freshman year.
yeah,
And I remember that No 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 song came out. And I saw
mhm,
the video. This is back when BET still had videos, right?
right,
I remember saying, I think my high school girlfriend, you know who I'm talking about, was sitting on the floor with me.
uh-huh,
And I remember saying to her, that girl right there, she shines more than those other girls around her.
hmm,
Like they don't fit around her.
you saw it.
So, and I think you often see the talent in people, and I think people are the masters of their own universe, and they could either go the Beyonce route
Yep.
and create that magic for themselves, like J Lo.
Yes,
J Lo, I didn't say J Lo she was shaking her booty, she was twerking on
right.
what's the name on
In living color. Yeah.
yeah. So like, but so that's a good segue into another thing I want to talk about. I can tell you what I think Ashanti did to reinvigorate herself, right? The classic, she did an LL. So Ashanti's around our age, right?
Yeah.
You remember maybe 10, 15 years ago, LL dropped a good like 30, 40 pounds and just shredded up
Right.
and was like, yo, this the new. So Ashanti was a thickums.
Yeah.
Like she always been kind of thick,
Yeah.
like right thick,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She's kind of developed, a more muscular, more pronounced, physique now.
Hmm.
Um, but that's beside the point. I think it speaks to something in society and something on social media that I've seen and I'm going to bring up in conversation because I don't quite understand all of the arguments and all the reasoning.
Right.
When I say to you body positivity or body positive, I see the hashtag. What do you think about?
I think about women who are not normally considered to be the ideal body type in society, putting themselves out there and saying, I'm happy with my body the way it is.
Dig it. So it's like a mental health thing. It's like an inclusion thing. But what I don't understand is that, so we're 42.
Right.
We're Gen Xers, but we're really like Zennials, right?
Right.
We're young Gen Xers. So we're like roughly the same age as hip hop, right?
Right.
So we are hip hop. And hip hop has always been like a counterculture, if you will, right? You remember back in high school, we used to play a lot of Master Ace, Born to Roll?
On the roll. Dum-dums, bust the scientific. Yes.
But if you look at the videos and even like, you know, we're from Philly and you know, in the hood, and being Black, regardless of whether you're from the hood, we are from what was typically the counterculture before.
Yeah.
You know, like we didn't experience all this young inclusiveness of our culture. You know?
Right.
Black people on TV, it's few and far between. You know, that's why there is a BET, right? But let me get to it. I remember being at the rec, being at the park, being in school, lunchroom, wherever, and dudes would talk about their preferences. And I literally have homies that have preferences all over the place. I got a homie that he will make no bones about it. He's like, I love fat women. I got homies that are butt men, booby men, all over the place, right?
Right.
Why do you think, you know, minority women are now into this body positive thing when growing up, you know, you just had to kind of find your niche?
Yeah. There's so many layers to that question. I don't even know where to begin. So, okay. So to start, let's tackle one. Okay, the first thing I want to say is the obesity rate has increased drastically since when we were younger. So back in the day when you had a thick girl and she was like, you know, the Ashantis, or, you know, had just a little more meat on her bones, but not fat. Okay. That doesn't need a body positivity index around it because that's accepted. But now we climb to the, you know, 2020s and beyond where people are extremely overweight and obese. And that's hard for society to accept. So in order to fit in, then you have to create a body positivity so that there is a way for you to feel like I'm happy with myself and confident with myself. I'm going to actually go back to what you were saying about Ashanti because I didn't get to comment on that. You said that now she looks a little differently than she did before. Perhaps and I don't know, I'm just guessing, something just sparked when you said that. Perhaps how she has tailored herself to look now has changed how she feels inside. Maybe she's a different person now and can give off more of a light that has kind of guided her career in a different direction. So,
and probably guided her habits too.
Guided her habits, exactly. So I think that the change in her external appearance could have been a change. Okay, we're back. Yeah.
You're saying the external change could have come about by internal change.
Yeah, totally, and vice versa. So that could be, and
I agree
so
with that. I agree
now,
because my own, my own journey, like before I wanted to be buff basket, I wanted to be big. And then when, my habits, my gym habits, I was the guy, I was the bro. I walked into the gym, I didn't stretch. I grabbed 45 after 45 after 45, stacked it on everything, drank some water and left.
right.
Stretch, few cardio. There, I get, a couple years ago, at one point, I was almost 300 pounds, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I was strong, but I was massively overweight, probably massively obese.
Right.
Um, Youth was on my side. And then, 35, 36 came, and my niece said, "Good Lord, you need to lose weight, homie." you know,
Yeah, all that pressure.
but getting back to the body positive thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, I dig what you're saying because it seems like over the course of society, right? Like and I only mention the generational thing because how people grow up and what is acceptable, I think matters, right?
Yep.
So when we were growing up, competition was pretty fierce, but it was loosening, right? So like, gold, silver, bronze, and then everybody else, right? Now we've moved into an area of society where we do want to be as inclusive as possible, but are we doing it at the sacrifice of accountability? Meaning, yes, everybody should feel mentally safe. Everybody should feel mentally healthy, but are we sacrificing accountability in certain ways? You know, like
I,
like truthfully, is obesity okay?
no, it will never be okay. That's like saying, is walking around without a mask during COVID okay? It's the same thing. It's putting your life at risk. It's putting your health at risk. And I don't know. There's no other way to justify obesity. I feel like there are people in society, of course, who work out and who eat healthy, and they can't change their bodies for some reason, whether it's a genetics or a glandular issue, and that's fine. But that's rare. For the most part, if you have the willpower and the discipline, and you work out and you eat moderately healthy, you can change a lot of things about your body, and it affects your health in more ways than just physical. It affects your mental health, it affects how you
It does.
interact with people, all of those things. So it's really no excuse for us to be glorifying obesity these days, even if it does make people feel inclusive, which, yes, we all want to feel inclusive, but the reality is, you need to, if you're obese or overweight, you need to figure out a way to be your healthiest self. No one's saying you can't be thick, no one's saying that you can't have a nice shape, but try to do it within the parameters of what it means to have a healthy, a healthy lifestyle. And that's all I'm saying. Like, I know, there are conversations about Lizzo, and she has a huge platform right now. She has a huge platform to encourage young women of color and even women who aren't of color that it's okay to be big. But what she's missing that breaks my heart is that element of being healthy. Because if Lizzo was online in the morning being like, okay, I got my concert tonight. Before I go to my concert, I'm gonna go in the valley, I'm gonna run a mile. I mean, when I get back, I might eat some fries, but whatever. I'm about to run a mile, and counterbalance her weight and her body with something healthy, so that she can introduce young women of color who are not used to it to the idea of working out, the idea of eating healthy, which we grow up with no concept of it.
Yeah.
We don't grow up with gyms in our neighborhood. We don't grow up with parks where we can go play because sometimes it's too dangerous or too violent. We're stuck in the house doing things that are mostly video games and you know, maybe we're playing basketball or something, but that's the extent of it. But she has a platform to educate women and inform women and inspire and encourage women to be better. But she's online twerking and huh?
What's wrong with twerking?
Nothing's wrong with twerking if you want to set yourself apart from that. Like you can't go on TV and say, I'm sick of being an activist for being Black and fat, but then all you're doing is being online, being Black and fat,
Being goofy.
being goofy. Yeah, and that's my problem with her. It's not. I think she's beautiful and I think she's talented. And I didn't mean to sway this conversation towards her. Yeah, well, you know, she's got amazing songs and their anthems.
But I mean, listen. So you know, everybody has their own, you know, preferences, right? And you know, a part of her image, right, is that she reached out and grabbed, you know, those people, those women on the fringes that weren't necessarily feeling inclusive. Because like I know some very, thin women that have insecurity issues, whether it's cellulite or what,
Right.
which a lot of dudes like cellulite. Like it's for real. Like if women knew the variety of men and what we are really into, you know, like most men don't have that. This is my type, right? Like at least most guys that I've interacted with, right? And I've, high school, college, I've had a lot of homies from a lot of different places, you know, even internationally. So I mean, there really isn't an aesthetic
Mhm.
that goes for every man. But I want to go back to something you said. You said that working out will improve how you think about yourself. Something to that effect. I agree with that because when I created my system and I went through my journey, if you will, I said what you have to do is count your W's. You have to go back, you have to count your wins. And I try not to review bad tape, right? I try to remember it, but I don't review it.
Mhm.
Because I never want to remember something that I was doing bad. Because if I see it and I visualize it, I may repeat it, right? But more importantly, uh, in terms of applying this to women working out and normalizing working out instead of normalizing obesity, right? Um, the intern and also applying this to Ashanti and maybe where her growth has come from. When I changed inside, like I told somebody the other day, because I'm still 260, right? 258.
Okay.
And I was talking to my cousin down south, and I told him, I'm sagging 38 jeans. And he's like, damn, Kyle. He's like, you're barely 6 foot. He's like, I'm 5'8", and I'm not 260, and I wear 38s. And and I always say that to say, like, I'm not bragging or nothing, because like, that's far from where I want to be. But when you realize have different body composition and
Mhm.
bring different things to the table, you know, finding out where you fit is really easy, as opposed to, just saying, well, this is what I am and this is where I'm at, so I'm just going to embrace this. It's almost like saying I'm not going to embrace growth.
Right. Right. That's true. And that's why you said it goes across the board for your entire life. When you can look at yourself and say, okay, well, I'm this weight. It's not my healthiest weight, but I know that I can be better. And maybe your weight doesn't change. Maybe, I mean, it's hard to say that your weight won't change, but if you work on yourself, your weight will change. You'll see progress, and it opens up a door for you to feel like you can conquer other things in your life that you may not have been able to. it,
Yeah.
it it's like the fear that's there. A lot of people have fear when they want to change, and
Yes.
change does, there's a lot of fear involved in change, but especially if you're not surrounded by people who encourage that type of fear. Like when we were talking about body types and body image. And as an African American woman, number one in the hip hop, community as a dancer, and growing up, you know, um, where you're not looked at as being attractive unless you have a fuller body, and being afraid to change that, being afraid to step outside of your comfort zones and say, hey, I want to eat differently, I want to exercise, I want to change my body. And then you got your girlfriend saying, oh, you want to look at those white women, or you have men saying, oh, well, that's not attractive because where's your butt, or where's this and that. And then you have your family saying, well, I just cooked hog maws and chitlins for dinner. So you have all of these things surrounding you that go against the change that you want to make. And you either
Gail wasn't cooking no hog maws.
I'm just saying, my grandma
Yeah.
would, Thanksgiving comes. But those are the struggles that we have to deal with. And then finding a gym, if you live in a neighborhood where there are none, then what do? You have a neighborhood where all there is fast food restaurants, and all you're doing is eating fast food. Then those are all the things going against us and how to change our lives.
And those are socioeconomic issues that, as a young person, you definitely can address. And,
Right.
I think it's important for the me's and the you's to reach back to those young people, because I mentioned before about getting a trainer, right? And
Yeah.
so January of last year, I was 269.
Hmm.
Going into January of next year, or I should say January 20, I was 269. Going into January 2021, I'll probably be 10 pounds lighter. But my body composition changed so much that I'm not wearing the same size jeans.
Right.
I'm fitting back in the suits that I wore when I was 250,
Yep.
or 245. So like getting a trainer, I remember having a conversation with my trainer and I was like, maybe I should like stop lifting heavy. And she was like, never. She was like, what we do is functional training.
Hmm.
We're doing, kettlebell squats, farmer carries, like she used to have me farmer carry like ungodly. I'm like, I feel like I'm moving somebody into a house. And she's like, yeah, but guess what? Next time you move somebody, you're not going to hurt. You're not going to have the same pain. And that was, from engaging a trainer. But let's move on from that, because you're giving me the alley oop of the segues, right? You mentioned the cultural aspects when we talk about body posi, not wanting to change, or because like if you go into fitness as a woman, you are going to get leaner, and leaner means losing buns, losing boobs, losing fat.
It does.
So there's another trend that I've seen out here. I don't know if you have, where women will, get the suit, they'll get plastic surgery done, and then they'll begin to promote a fit lifestyle, even to the point where they become certified trainers, which, that's testing, and there's no physical accomplishment to that. There's just licensure, right?
Right.
Or testing. They'll start selling products, and they'll create this false reality that that's how they got there. Because let me say that I don't think in order to be an effective trainer, you have to look like, the most diesel guy or the most fit woman. I think trainers are coaches, teachers, and guide people. Because in my gym, there were some trainers that were older.
Yeah.
There were some trainers that were not as fit as other people, yet they could motivate and they had the knowledge.
Yeah.
Because speaking on the body posi thing, there's some very fit people who don't have the aesthetics of
Yep.
looking,
Right.
you know. But what do you think about, and I don't know if you've ever seen this on social media, but what do you think about kind of perpetrating that fraud?
I know it's out there for sure. So, and it's just them covering up for their insecurities to, have a hustle. I guess they're either people who go, okay, I really want to motivate and be a personal trainer, but I know that no one's going to believe me if I look like
Mm,
this. So
mm.
maybe the passion is there and they just feel like they need to look a certain way on the outside in order to get their foot in the door.
Mhm.
And maybe their passion is there enough where they have enough information and they know what they're doing. They just needed some help along the way. So, I mean, in that respect, I mean, whatever your hustle is, that's your hustle. But and I feel for those who don't know a thing about a thing and come at you looking, great with this wonderful presentation and could potentially put you in harm's way. But then that's up to the consumer to look at the person and go, okay, what are your credentials? I see prior to this year of, of your transformation, you were not in fitness at all, and like kind of ask those questions to see how they got to where they are, and maybe they might still inspire them, who knows, or maybe the placebo effect will happen where they'll look at them and be
Mm.
so inspired by them they'll be like, well, you got this way by doing this, so I'm going to get this way by doing this, and look, it actually worked. Like the fake trainer might even surprise themselves. There's
But
so many.
you don't see the hypocrisy and how it's kind of patently unfair for that same young person, in particular that young woman who's insecure on the fringes or feels like they're on the fringes because, I got homies of all proclivities. Like wherever you are, I got a homie that likes it, trust me. But you don't think it's patently unfair for the young lady who's insecure and then engages this person because social media, you know, we're Zennials, more Generation X.
Yeah.
I am enamored by social media. I can reach out to you in California, Canada, London, wherever, and engage you.
Instantly.
So like to me, that's like wow. And I've been doing a lot of engagement,
Right.
but you don't see the hypocrisy. You don't see how it's kind of misleading, and maybe we need to have some controls on those types of information, in particular for young people.
Yeah. I mean, yes, there's a lot of hypocrisy there, but it's hard to figure out what to do because it goes across the board on so many levels with so many products, with so many people selling things on social media that they don't have the credentials to sell or support. So yes, on a health level, it's a huge concern, especially for the young and the naive and the ones who are so excited and
Yeah.
impressionable that they want to change, they want this information. It's a shame. I wish that we could kind of go in there and find the fake ones and shut them down and all this stuff. But where do you begin? How do you start to pick and choose who deserves to be on social media?
Yeah,
How do you choose what, it's a
I
hard
agree.
battle.
I do. I agree with you. Because like back when we were in Thanksgiving, when I popped up over your mom's house, and we kind of started this conversation. I think we were starting it from a value standpoint, right? And I think the root of it is, what do we value about women? What is a woman's value? And I think if we address that as the root, you know, because as a man, and I'll tell you, this is something that sounds trivial, right? But if you change my gender and change some things, so I'm 5'11.59652 and a quarter. That's like I'm 5'11 and a half, right? I'm not
Right.
6 foot, right?
Right.
And you see these millions of memes, like the difference between 5'11 and 6 foot, and I've never had a problem dating. I've never had a problem athletically, on sports teams. Um, so like as a man, I have not, encountered anything. I'm not, even at 42, I'm not as fit as I used to be. So my physical appearance isn't my primary asset, right? And it never really has been. Like back in the day, some people thought I was fine, whatever.
Right.
Some people thought I was built, whatever, But even then, the fact that I was in college, I was ambitious, carried on a conversation. Those were always the primary things in which I dated with, right? When we get to a point where we truly value women, and I want you to speak on that too, because you work in a very aesthetic world, but I know you as a person, and you are highly intelligent. We went to the same magnet school. You are master's level educated. So like, what do you think about that? And I'll just throw that out to you.
How do I think? What I think about what specifically?
The fact that we value women because of their
We value their women because of their physical
and
appearance.
and and women have accepted this to a large degree.
Yeah, I unfortunately it's all over television. It's all over TV, and I mean we can go way 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 back when the women's job was, the a housewife. So your job was just to be pretty, make the dinner, take care of the kids, And so over time, we've worked hard and we're independent women and we can do jobs that men can do. We could be firefighters, police officers, we can play football. And, but you still have the women who want to protect our roles as women and focus on the physical aspect of it because there are a lot of men who still want that, who still want a woman to just be pretty and I'll do all of the work.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on what your role is in society. Are you that independent woman who's like, I wanna, be equal to a man, or are you that woman who's saying, I wanna be a woman and that's it. I wanna worry about how I look and have the men go after me for how I look. And then of course you have a combination of both, but it depends on what you want from the man. So
So
if
it's
you
either I want to be equal,
Mhm.
or I want to be an accessory.
Or a combination of two.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I'm not
finding
gonna
a man. You have to attract what you want.
Yeah,
So if I or you have to put out there what you want. If I want to be looked at for only my physical appearance, then that's what I'm going to exaggerate. When I walk outside, if that's what I want the world to see, that's what I'm gonna, enhance my hair, my makeup, put on clothes that accentuate my body and the parts of my body that I want people to look at. And that's what I'm going to attract men who only want me for my physical appearance. But if I know that deep down inside there's more to that, I'm not going to worry so much about how I look. Yes, I want to look, beautiful when I go outside. But the first thing when a man talks to me, I have to change how I interact with him and what comes out of my mouth. Am I gonna start saying some, as you would say, goofy stuff out of my mouth, or am I gonna hit him with things that make him think and understand that it's deeper than that? Like when you just said, that you're just known more for like, are you in college, like what you're doing with your life, who you are as a person. You chose to go that route. You could very well at a very early age said, I'm Kyle Bosquet. I'm fine. I got body. I got this. I got that. And you could have written on that your entire life. You could have very well done that because if you put that out there,
that's true.
that's what people are going to see you as. If you walk around in your clothes and you're showing off your shoes and you're showing off your muscles and you're constantly flexing, then women are going to be like, oh my God, Kyle, wow, look at Kyle, look at him, because
Yeah,
that's what you're putting out there. But
yeah.
instead you said, no, that's not what I'm about. Yes, I have that, that's great, but look at what else I have to offer. Look at what I'm doing with my life. And so you decided to change the game around and put out there. And women have the same power to do that. And a lot of women are not utilizing their abilities because it's not what gets men right away because men are visual. Men are very visual.
Oh, no
Like,
question.
you have the right to say, this is what I have to offer, yes, but there's more. And then if a man can't handle that there's more, then he's not the right one for you.
Yes, because I tell people, like, I'm not gonna lie. Part of my transformation and my toxicity was, I mean, you know me very well.
Mhm.
Kyle don't date no ugly women.
Right.
Kyle don't date no okay looking women. You
You
know.
never have.
So, I really, not saying that there's not more to my past than beauty, but you know, I'm never going to let go of that. Like, to be candid, to be authentically me, I have to accept the fact, like, I want a gorgeous woman, but that's not all I want.
Right.
And I think, so like, I think I was talking to G's, a friend of ours. I said, geez, I don't think women have been this beautiful at any time in history. Like, I remember being younger and being like, just like, women are pretty. And like every 10 years, because like our 40 isn't our parents' 40, right?
Oh, right.
Like 40-year-old 20 years ago was like, and now it's like, 40 is the new 30, truthfully.
Right.
And as a 42-year-old guy, I say all the time, 20 up, 20 down. 60 isn't the same.
At all.
Like, a couple years ago, I was dealing with a woman that was like 54, and I swear to God, she was 35. When I approached her. But, with that said, getting back to these young ladies, getting back to body positive and also this fraudulent behavior, what do you think we can do and need to do? Because I have a 16-year-old young lady, my daughter, right?
Yep.
And that's why, like, these issues have now kind of entered my world, right? I have 3 sons as well, but they're younger, and I'm a male, so I know their issues. I can counteract some of the stuff that they'll confront. What can we do for young ladies? Because I work towards opportunity for women, and that's only in particular in the work environment because of the work I do, my job and all. I always make an emphasis to recognize that, with our high school didn't reach its heights until it started accepting women or young ladies, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because we were excluding all of the smart girls and letting dumb boys in, right? So we split that in half. We got rid of dumb boys and let smart girls in. So most of us are smart, right? Same thing with the workplace. As you exclude talent, right? But with that said, like, because really this is all around the dating kind of romance sphere where men and women have a disconnect and don't communicate very well. I know for a fact, I speak to men and they value women in various ways, in widespread ways, more than just looks, but looks are primary. How can we communicate to young women that you have to develop yourself in total, for my sons?
Yeah. Well, that's a hard one because who our youth are being influenced by these days, sometimes it's not the most it's not the people that you want them to be influenced by. So it definitely starts at home, I always say, but then what if you have a home where the parents aren't the primary caretakers and they don't have those people around them to, like, you're able to be in your kids' lives, you're able to guide them in the right direction, and as soon as you see them doing something that's off path, you can get right on them, but we all don't have that. So then there's social media and there's all these TV shows that are taking them in the wrong direction. Like back in the day, we had, for me, it was like Claire Huxtable, that's who I looked to. And like we had a different world where it was like, okay, you have a household that's like strong, and then you go off and you go to college and you grow up to be successful. And we don't have a lot of that anymore, So it's challenging because I know for myself, any chance that I get in the future, I want to have a platform to just inspire tons of different women of different ethnicities so that they know how to make themselves the most well-rounded and be strong with who they are and not have to like succumb to what society wants them to be just to fit into a certain mold that, we were saying before, uh, Facebook allows you to find people just like you and understand that there are so many different ways of being happy with yourself and with who you are, no matter how different you are. And I feel so strongly about that. I mean, right now, I don't have a solution for how we can help kids now, but if given the platform and the opportunity, that's the first thing I would do, is because it starts there. Like, that's our future. It's good that right now we have a lot of open-minded youth who don't see color, who don't see gender, who don't see, ethnicity, who don't see sexual preference. They see a person,
Yeah.
which is beautiful. So it's just getting those other negative viewpoints of people weeded out so that we can all just, I don't know, not have all these disgusting images of people.
Well said. Well said. Well, I think we reached about an hour. I don't know if people are going to be listening to podcasts longer than this, but
No, probably not.
we could probably go on and on.
Yeah, I know we could.
But I hear BJ in the background. What up, B?
Can you hear someone? They're upstairs.
I hear like chatter. But I'm going to continue on my journey. I do want to say thank you for being one of my dearest, closest friends. I'm going to guarantee you that in April, when you are looking gorgeous, beautiful, effervescent yourself, when you're marrying another close friend of mine, Brian, I will be there to celebrate. And I want to thank you for your time. And I'm going to see you before April because you guys are in Philly, right?
We will. We'll get to hang out and have some good laughs and all that stuff.
Cool.
We'll
Appreciate you.
This has been great. Just able to speak freely to you and not censor myself, and
Never censor. Never censor. I mean, I think too. When you do these things, there's always going to be people that come for you, but I want a free space for exchange.
Right.
And if somebody does not know, we're going to talk from a position of educating them or informing them and not judging them for not knowing.
Exactly.
For me, the whole body positive thing is odd, because like, not to go back on subject, but as a young person, I watched Michael Jordan, who's like 6'6", right? Mm-hmm. And I knew I wasn't going to be 6'6" because my dad was 5'11" and my mom was 5'4". But he's kind of like, in terms of a professional, the person I view my professional career as a lawyer or as whatever, and even my legal career is nowhere near as astounding as his basketball career. But I looked at it as something to admire in a bar, I didn't look at it as something that I needed to be,
right,
but something that I maybe need to attain to, which is, and I understand, when it comes to your physical appearance or, something like that, like I'm not going to be 6'6", but that doesn't mean I can't be successful in other ways. I can't be of value in other ways. And, I kind of see society moving to more insecurity, more depression, when, 20 years ago, if you would have told me we had all this wonderful technology and ways of communicating, I would have thought we were much better off.
Yeah, no. because people sit there behind their screens and they see what they think people want to see. So like you were saying before, women have no idea how men really like a lot of things that women are insecure about,
Oh,
you know?
cellulite,
Yeah,
feet,
yeah,
fat girls, skinny girls, butts, small boobs. Like I got homies that, they like it all. They like everything.
right. But then they see this image of what they think perfection is, and they hide behind that, and they don't want to be who they are because they think they're not good enough. And it's why people are becoming more and more insecure, because they're seeing, it's not even, I won't even say that it's on the level of looking at Instagram models or supermodels or celebrities, but even looking at your friends, people with their happy lives with their children, their husbands, their happy vacations, they're happy at work, they're happy with Instagram, and social media promotes the best in people's lives. And you see that and you think, why am I not doing that? You're getting a snapshot of someone's day, hour, whatever, and you start to go, why can't I have that? Why am I not doing that? And then you start to just be really insecure with who you are and what you're doing. And it's like, no, you don't know that this person is happy or what they're putting out there is really true. It's what they're showing you. So instead of
Yeah.
realizing that what they have is of value and is amazing as well, they start to become insecure with who they are.
But here's my point. You remember back in the day when you went on vacation or you went on a prom or you did whatever you did, you took pictures and then you had to get them developed, right? And maybe it's the instant thing that changes it, right? But I didn't take pictures of me crying over my girlfriend. I didn't take pictures of losing, a football game. I didn't take pictures of my down moments. When
Yeah,
I bought the stack of pictures, whether you were in my living room or I know girls used to bring the pictures to school all the time, it was the happy moments.
right.
So, when it comes to social media, and maybe it's the instant, this is all we're getting bombarded.
Yeah.
At some point, I think you need somebody in your life, and if you don't have them, maybe find them
Mhm.
to kind of center you and bring you to reality.
Yes,
You know,
it's
like
true.
I try to be as authentic as possible on my own Instagram, right? But
Yeah,
then when I look at it objectively, I'm like, damn, I'm a cool motherfucker. Like, look at this dude.
right.
I just be looking at my Instagram, I'm like, damn, I would love to live this guy's life. Like, he lives pretty dope. I mean, I do love my life, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah,
And maybe, just people being mentors, being accessible, because I know you got some real dope stuff bubbling and, you know, we're gonna get you back on once you bubble, but maybe it's gonna take the people like you to say, I've been around the Beyoncé's, I've been around the J-Lo's. You think that their success came overnight. I remember when we watched Shorty on The Living Color, and I've seen her working. I've seen her working, and maybe
right.
that's it. We need to put a lot of young people and people that need a motivation. We need to put them in spaces where they see people working.
Yeah, because they
You know,
don't want to work hard. No, kids don't want to work hard these days. They
you don't
want
think so?
to be. They don't because they think that everything is easy and it's overnight. It's like something as simple as, I don't know, us having to go to the library and like check out a book and read those books, and then like that was, we had to put in work.
Yeah.
Something simple. It's like it's little things that are so, they seem so minute, but it's a habit that it develops of, you have to put in this work. Like how we communicate it with each other. You either have to talk on the telephone, or you have to like mail a letter. You have to do all of these things that take time, as opposed to it being press a button and this happens, press a button and your Amazon delivery is here, press a button and all of these things that are here to help us
Yes.
with,
I think I agree with you. I think Malcolm Gladwell came up with that the microwave culture maybe like 20 years ago or so.
yeah,
I'm glad you said that because that does matter because I remember being young and the trip to the library was, I mean, like you had to like get up, get dressed, go. It was 2 books usually. If everybody in the class had the same assignment, you had to either get lucky or wait.
Yeah.
And then, you had to deal with the librarian and she throwing that Dewey Decimal System at you. And it was just a chore because sometimes, I look at my kids now, they're doing this laptop, Corona school thing. And yeah, you might have hit the nail on the head is that the instant, reaction or instant movements, instant reactions and everything take the work ethic out,
Yes.
appreciation for work. Because like if you'd have told me 20 years ago we'd have the things we have, like for instance, you no longer need to buy a big cable package, right? You could
Right.
get a subscription. Like I only have Disney Plus because I got my kids.
Right. You wouldn't
I
have.
got I got Hulu because it's part of my little cell phone package.
Hmm.
But literally, I could watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it.
Yep.
Versus cable, even, which is light years ahead of TV, right?
Yeah.
You had to see when a program was coming on
Yep.
and wait for it to come on.
Yep. You
Yeah.
had to wait. And if you wanted to record it, you got to get that VCR out and you had to record the whole thing. And if you wanted to eliminate the commercials, you had to pause it when the commercials came on. Like there was a lot of work that went into. I'm thinking back to a personal situation that you were there for when I had to write. I wrote a paper for history class. Like I had to type it up.
That weird dude.
Yes, he didn't believe that he did
Yes.
not believe that I wrote that paper, Kyle. And Kyle, you had to drive me home to dig in the trash can to take the rough draft that I hand wrote out of the trash can and take it back up to the school so that he could see that I had proof of my paper.
Yeah.
That's hard work right there. Like I would have failed that class if I didn't have the handwritten work. Like that was going into the encyclopedias, researching, quoting, all that stuff, and then rewriting it or typing it on the typewriter and showing your work. That like kids don't have to do that these days.
Yo, show your work. Yes.
They
Yeah.
don't really show their work much. They just, I mean, I'm sure they do in a different virtual.
Yo, you should trademark that. You should trademark that.
Show your work.
Show your work. Because like my whole thing is I don't even know if I'll ever be successful. I'm already successful for me.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm happy, right? But like this podcast may be buried in YouTube somewhere for eons, and then 150 years from now, I'll become famous because somebody awkward or quirky found it, right?
Right.
But showing your work is where the pride is. It's where the win is. Like when you talk about going to the gym, like I'm so proud of even where my body is now. Like I'm nowhere near the 25-year-old me, right?
Right.
But I'm much better than the 39-year-old me or 38-year-old me.
Yeah.
In that I put in work, I did what I needed to do. I started doing intermittent fasting, keto, and all that stuff. And now, like, even this shirt I have on, I bought this shirt like a year ago, planning on getting into it. And I know G's tells me, like, nah, Kyle, you got to buy your size. Just get it tailored up. I'm like, no, I'm going to motivate myself to get into what I want to get into. This is an XL slim.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wasn't there before, at least the last couple of years. Trademark that, show your work, because that's where the pride is. If a lot of people appreciated the work, appreciated the journey, I think they would be in a better space. But they got to have somebody to tell them, it's okay to not be where you want to be now, but be working towards getting there. But I don't want to take too much of your time. Again, I'm gonna keep putting in my work. you've been putting in work. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Okay, here we go. Yeah. Keep motivating each other like we always do, like we have been doing. Keep making each other show up and show our work. And I feel like it's stuff like this that we need. We need people of our generation and beyond, whether that's like you say 20 up and 20 down, but 20 up and 20 down as far as your the platform that, you know, the people who listen, to just be inspired and not afraid to make the changes that are appropriate to have a more fulfilling life, whether that means mentally or physically, whatever problems people are having. Like, don't be afraid to change and know that life, there's always better. You don't have to settle on whatever you're feeling that's making you unhappy. So keep doing this. This is great.
Thanks. Love you, Sean Dog.
Kyle, I'll see you when we get there.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Bye.